So hello everyone, it might only be February, but rumor season has officially started because Horror Night Nightmares released their first speculation map of 2023. Let's get into it. So happy New Year, happy Halloween Horror Nights 32. It is time to start discussing new rumors for the new season. And if you're new around here, hi, I'm Liz. I am a diehard Halloween Horror Nights fan. I've been attending the event since 2001, and you might know me on Twitter. If you don't know my personal channel here, DiscoLiz, then you might know me from the Twitter account I run, HHN Rumors. So every year I discuss the rumors and announcements for Halloween Horror Nights, some of the other local haunts, and then when fall rolls around, I vlog at the events. So if you love Halloween Horror Nights, you love Halloween, make sure to subscribe. So without further ado, let's start talking about this map that was released by Horror Night Nightmares. They are known for their speculation maps, and clearly this year is going to be no different. It's only February and we have our first map. So far we're just looking at houses, no surprise. The scare zone rumors always come far later, but I do want to say to just remember, it is only February. This map is exciting, it's fun to talk about it, it's fun to theorize, but just remember that we are very early on in the season and things could easily change. If you love something on this map, don't get your heart too set on it. If you hate something on this map, don't get too upset about it because things are very likely going to change. But rumor season is fun to just speculate and kind of get our best educated guesses on what these rumors could be. So let's start talking about this list. So the first item on the map is Chucky, and this we can say for certain is coming to Universal for Halloween Horror Nights 32 because they already announced it. They announced this house on Halloween night. On the final night of HHN31, we got this announcement. So we know for a fact that Chucky will be at the event. They are placing Chucky as one of the soundstage houses right when you walk into the park. Seems pretty legit. It's going to be a very big IP for Universal. It's been a long time since we've seen a Chucky house at the event, so I assume it's going to be a popular one. If you've been going to the event for a long time, you may have seen the previous Chucky house, which was in 2009. The theme in 2009 was ripped from a silver screen. It was the Usher's icon year, so we had a lot of movie characters at the event, including Chucky. However, this house was a bit of an original take on Chucky. So we didn't follow one of the movies. It was A&D's own take on Chucky. Chucky was all throughout the house, but there were also lots of scenes with various toys. I remember walking through and seeing Barbie with her face melting off. I believe there was a barrel of monkeys or like a weird puppet creature, some green army men, that kind of stuff. It was as if you as the guest were shrunk down into toy size and were walking through a very twisted version of Toy Story. I am not an IP person, you guys know. I love originals. I am team originals, but as far as IPs go, that's one of the ones I have really enjoyed because I have memories of it being very creepy, but also original. We also had the Chucky scare zone not too long ago. So we've seen Chucky at the event. He just keeps coming back. Even if he doesn't have a house, he ends up on merch. We've had the Chucky meet and greet the past 2 years. We had a Chucky food stand, but this year he's getting his own house. However, this time around, we're not getting an original take. We are getting Chucky, the TV show. I have yet to watch the TV show, and if I'm being completely honest, Chucky's never been my favorite character. I don't know that I plan to watch the show. So if you love the show, comment down below. Let me know if you think this is going to make a good house, if it's going to translate well into a property at Horror Nights, and if you think it deserves having a soundstage. Because as we know, the soundstage houses are always the most detailed, so I'm very curious to know if you think that Chucky deserves to have one of those spots. Moving on to item number 2, we have Universal Monsters Phantom versus Dracula, and this one has been circulating. I do think this one has some legitimacy to it. We've seen the Universal Monsters houses happening time and time again in the recent years, and they're a winning formula. Why not continue with it? Clearly people enjoy them. No shortage of stories you can create pairing different monsters against each other. I personally love the Phantom, so I am very excited to see what house we get. I do think the Phantom is going to be the central character because Dracula's had his day. We've had a few different houses with Dracula in it, but we haven't had a Phantom house. So I think there's a lot of material and potential to focus on a Phantom story, and then Dracula can just be there. You know how we got an Egyptian house because of the Mummy? I think we could really run with a setting that fits the Phantom, but Dracula's there. I don't know why Dracula's after the Phantom or the Phantom's fighting Dracula. I'm excited to see it. I don't know how much longer they'll continue doing the Universal Monsters houses, but I would not be surprised if this one is true. Number 3, we have The Last of Us. This house was supposed to happen at HHN31, but the show got delayed, so the house didn't happen. We got Descendants of Destruction instead, which after seeing some clips from Last of Us, I feel like you can definitely tell Descendants was supposed to be Last of Us. But now the rumor is back yet again this year that Last of Us is coming to Halloween Horror Nights, and I wouldn't be surprised by it. We knew they wanted it last year, and the show has been very popular so far. I do intend to watch this one. I have not yet. I've been kind of waiting so that I can binge it, but I am excited to watch this one. I love Pedro Pascal, so I will definitely be watching it. I've been seeing some clips of the makeup and the special effects, and I do think that could make an interesting Halloween Horror Nights house, but I am curious as to how they make it different from Descendants of Destruction. We've been through the subway, we've seen the subway cars, they've kind of already used up some of their gimmicks with the subway cars, and then the end of Descendants of Destruction had, I mean, I haven't watched the show, I didn't play the game, so I don't know what their fungi zombie creatures are called. I've seen something about clickers maybe. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I get my horror card revoked. I know, I need to do my homework. Whatever their creatures are called, kind of similar to the creatures we saw at the end of Descendants. How do you make it different enough that people aren't saying, didn't we just go through this last year? I'm excited to see how they tackle that and what scenes they choose to focus on to kind of avoid having a direct repeat. Number 4, we have Krampus, but it's an original. We had a Krampus house, I believe it was back in 2014, but it was based on the movie and it was a comedy house. Now, Krampus can be pretty scary. And if we're doing an original take on spooky Christmas and Krampus, I think they would have to take it in a different tone direction because you can't just do comedy all over again. I love that house, don't get me wrong. I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it far more than I thought I was going to. The scene with the little gingerbread men in the kitchen, I loved it. But we've already done comedy Krampus. My guess is that this would be a serious take on Krampus and actually a terrifying version of Scary Christmas. We've done Funny Christmas with Psycho Scarapy, Home for the Holidays. We've done Funny Christmas with the Elves and Santa and HR Blood and Guts. I think it is time for truly terrifying horror Christmas, and if this is true, I'm here for it. Number 5, we have a ship anchor that says original. I don't know where to go with that. So let me just hypothesize a bit, right? So we've already done Dead Man's Pier last year. We've already done kind of the slow moving sea monster Davy Jones crew characters. So I don't think it's gonna be that. We just did that. It could be a Fritanic return. It's been a long time since we've seen the SS Fritanic. You're new to Halloween Horror Nights lore. That was a house way back when. Hold on, I need to actually look up the information because it was that long ago. So are you ready for this history lesson? In 1998, Universal decided to make a horror parody version of the movie because obviously Titanic came out in 1997. It was huge, it was everywhere. It is currently celebrating its anniversary, and Universal created SS Fritanic for Halloween Horror Nights 1998. That would have been Horror Nights 8, if I'm doing math correctly. Horror Nights 8, a long time ago. Even I was too young to be at Halloween Horror Nights back then. I'm not gonna go too deep into the story of that house because I don't know if that's actually what we're getting, but if it does become true that this is the house we're getting, then I will go into a whole lore and history background for you guys. But we saw SS Fritanic at 1998's Halloween Horror Nights, and then we saw it again, or at least a scene of it again, at 2010 in Hallowed Pass, which was the anniversary house that year. So I did get to see that scene, but I'm curious to see if we're having the Titanic's anniversary, maybe we have a Fritanics anniversary as well. I think it's time. I think it's time to revisit that, mainly because I'm curious to see how they would take that story and use today's effects. So obviously 1998, they were still kind of fledgling, still kind of up and coming. They didn't have the budget or technology that they do now. And I think the costuming, the lighting, the effects, they could really make you feel like you're on a ghost ship of the Titanic. I think there'd be a lot of fans of it. So that's where I'm going with my guess. It's really ambiguous with just having the anchor there. Time will tell. Next up, we have the horrors of Blumhouse, Megan, and Insidious. As you may have seen on Twitter, the official Megan account, the movie that came out just about a month ago, they might have been a little loose-lipped on letting something spill that Megan was coming to Halloween Horror Nights. Were they just trolling us? Was it an early leak from the studio? Time will tell, but this is a rumor that's been circulating and seems like it's gaining traction. So this one seems like it could be legit. We're combining two houses again. It would be in the same area as Blumhouse last year. They could keep doing this kind of thing for a while because that tent was perfectly set up to have two houses essentially as one. So they could keep doing two properties and you get two houses for the price of one essentially. I haven't watched Megan yet, but I did just see that it's coming onto streaming on Peacock soon. If this is announced, then I will watch that as my Horror Nights homework. Insidious is a little ambiguous because it doesn't say which one we're getting. However, we do have an Insidious film that's coming out this July, so it seems like that's probably the house we would see. I do really enjoy Insidious 1. Insidious, the house at 2015, is one of my favorite IP houses they've ever done. It was so scary. There's clearly potential for spooks in the Insidious franchise, and I do think those houses tend to translate well at Halloween Horror Nights. So the synopsis is Insidious Fear of the Dark. Set 10 years after the end of the previous two films, Josh Lambert heads east to drop his son Dalton off at an idyllic ivy-covered university. However, Dalton's college dream becomes a nightmare when repressed demons of his past suddenly return to haunt them both. I mean, it could work. I haven't seen the movie, haven't seen previews for it, anything. Don't know what the sets are gonna be like. Those Insidious demons are scary. We will see. Moving on, we are continuing the trend of seeing a scare zone move into a house. And in this case, we have Lair of the Banshees from Halloween Horror Nights 26 moving from a zone to a house. So the zone in 26 was located in Central Park. It was an evil forest filled with banshees. So if I'm being completely honest, this zone does not stand out in my memory of favorite zones that have been in that spot. Was that Party City Ghost here? I'm gonna have to go back and watch my own vlogs to refresh my memory, but I think that might have been Party City Ghost and the big Party City stilt that we made him and he did like the wacky inflatable arms for us. I'll reference my vlogs, but regardless of how goofy I may have thought the zone was or how much the zone didn't work for me, the concept of it will surely work for a house. Lair of a Banshees, creepy forest, that's going to work for a house. You can put as many creatures and original ideas in there as you want. A creepy forest is going to work. I think they can turn that into a house easily. That said, if we're going to follow the trend of putting zones into houses, may I kindly put in a request to see Invasion become a house. That's all I really want is Invasion the house. And please, any creatives watching this video, please make it happen some year. 50s sci-fi, aliens in a house, it would be fantastic. The next house on the list is another original, and it is another callback to a previous original that we've seen at Halloween Horror Nights. In this case, we'd be seeing a spinoff from 2018's Slaughter Cinema, which I know is a fan favorite, classic 80s B-horror mashup comedy house. And one of those movies that we walked through in Slaughter Cinema was called Devil Dogs. Put simply, Devil Dogs was a werewolf biker bar. Are we getting an entire house of just werewolf bikers? Are they going to be comedy? Are they going to be actual scary werewolves? I don't know, but I think a lot of you will be happy to see a Slaughter Cinema spinoff. I think that house has been asking for it. I think it can certainly handle having spinoffs. It wouldn't have been my first choice of all the properties in Slaughter Cinema. My favorite and my choice would have been Midnight Snack 2, The House Swarming, but I think it will be a fun one if it's a comedy, or I don't really know how you take that into a serious realm because I don't know how seriously I can take werewolf biker gangs. As a comedy, it could work. Moving on to yet another very ambiguous house, a guitar with a lightning bolt. What could that mean? So I have theories, however, it's an educated guess, and so I don't want to share too much and spill too many beans ahead of time. I do want to leave an air of mystery since they decided to kind of err on the side of mystery, but I can guarantee that people will be guessing this based on what they put on the map. I'm not gonna be the one to say it out loud, but maybe someone in the comments wants to say it out loud because I bet you there's gonna be people who guess it. I don't know how much merit to give it, but Universal does seem to like to pair with music artists right now. They're going through a phase. They tried to pair with Billie Eilish. 2020 happened. We had The Weeknd. Now this potential music-based house. Give me your guesses down below. I'm very curious what you guys are thinking and who you think would be a good fit. I'm gonna keep that one mysterious, even though I'm sure it's gonna be talked about online. Probably as soon as that map goes out, people are gonna be talking about it. But I'm just gonna choose to be mysterious. For now, I'm gonna keep quiet and we'll talk about it the next time a map comes out, if it's still on the map. We'll see. Who knows? It's so early. We could be talking about entirely different houses next time. And then finally, we have... I don't know how to translate Japanese, so I'm not sure what this says. Seems like we're getting a Japanese lore house maybe. I'll be honest, I don't know much about Japanese lore. However, there is Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Japan, so maybe our team is working with Japan's team to kind of pull over some of their stories into our event. I do know that there is a focus on kind of more spooky, ghost, supernatural, or at least that's what I have gathered from the little bit I do know about Japanese culture. I don't know. That one is very ambiguous. Let me know if you have any theories in the comments down below, or if you are able to translate Japanese and can tell me what the symbols say. It's shaping up to be an interesting year with a good balance of originals and IPs. I am not strongly attached to any of the IPs. However, I am excited to watch The Last of Us. I am excited to see more Universal Monsters. I'm leaving an open mind to the Blumhouse properties. Pretty meh about Chucky, but the originals I feel like all have potential. It's just way too early on to really know if any of these things are solid or if any of my theories that I just listed today are even in the ballpark. Fun to kick off the season here in February. There's lots more to come. Obviously, I will be here to chat with you guys every time there is a new Horror Night Nightmares map or an announcement. So if you enjoyed this first dive into rumors, make sure to like the video and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you think of this first lineup, what your first impressions are. And until next time, stay safe and stay spooky. Bye.